Hello and welcome to the ICATS video series on setting up the RDS Teacher Module Gradebook for new users. I'm your host, Jared Gleim, and I'm the ICATS educator that works with your building tech coordinator who is your support person for teachers in your building with RDS Gradebook. This third video is meant for elementary school teachers who have a skills entry class in their class drop-down list. So, let me see here. I'm going to go ahead and click and get rid of that little window here. So if I look at my list, I see I have skills entry. Okay, so, but if you are a middle school teacher or a high school teacher or even an elementary school teacher who does not have a skills entry here in your list, you can go ahead and close out this video, and there is a video in the series that is meant for you. So find that video in that list. But if you do have skills entry, this video is for you. In a minute, we're going to apply the grading scales we created from the first video you saw in the series, and we're going to put it here in the course setup menu. And by the way, if you're still seeing that pop up, we're going to be getting rid of it here with this video, because once we apply grading scales across the board, that pop-up should no longer come up. If it does, you still have more work to do in your course setup. So let's go ahead and get started. Click View Edit, and come down to Course Setup. Then you'll see that this menu comes up. Now, there's actually three parts to this menu, and it's not very visible as to the fact that there is three parts. You have grade period total, so if you click it, that tab turns red. There's semester total, and there's also drop scores. We're first going to work in grading period total. Okay, so if you just click on grade period total, here's grade scale. Right now it says none. I want to click my drop down, and I'm going to come down to my standard scale. Now for elementary teachers, normally you just have a standard scale. You don't have an advanced scale. So choose your advanced scale. The next options you have here is use total points for grading period total, or you also have used this calculation for grade period total. So if you click the second one, what you'll see here is that this menu turned from gray to white, and now I can choose to type in percentages. So if I want my test to be worth, let's say, 40 points of percentages of my grade, and then I want quizzes to count for 20. I need to make sure here that this will all add up to be 100%. So if I got 40 and 20, that makes 60, so I need to make this homework be worth 40. So now I've got this. You know what? I think I'm going to make homework, or the test, be worth just a little bit less, and have my homework be worth a little bit more. Now you'll notice what happens is when you go to save this, when I click save, it's going to give me an error. So it does do the math, and you're not going to get to where things aren't going to jive right just because you made a calculation error here. So I need to change my homework to 50. Okay. Now you don't have to use this method. If you want just total points to calculate your grade, that is fine. You just need to go back up here and select the top option. That is what most people do. But if you are wanting to be very particular and have tests be worth 30, quizzes worth 20, 50, and so on, however you got your categories set up here, that is perfectly fine. Just make sure you set up accordingly. If you don't have a category here in your listing that you need, remember you need to go back and add a new category from the View Edit menu and come down here to Assignment Categories to add the category that you need. Then come back into your course setup. Other parts of the screen that you need to be aware of. This box right here that says treat all grading periods in this semester as one continuous grading period. What that means is if you are on 9 weeks or 6 weeks, okay, depending upon whether you have 2 or 3 grading periods in a semester, when a grading period ends, if you have this option selected, the grade that the student received at the end of that first grading period is the grade they will start the next grading period with. So for instance, if a kid, grading period 1, ended with a B, let's say 85%, starting grading period 2, that kid will start off his grade with 85% B. Okay, so it's treating it as if it's a long grading period. Okay, and it will calculate all the grades from that previous grading period, and every time you're adding a grade, it's like you kept that grading period going. Okay, so most people don't usually use this option, so I would not use that if that's what you're not wanting. This next option, calculate grade using total from category. This means you could have a whole list of assignments using all your different categories that you have listed here, but you can easily from this menu tell RDS to just give the student their grade based on what is in the homework category or one of these other two categories here that you have in your drop down. This is not a widely used option either. If it is something you're wanting to use, that's fine. But it might be almost easier when you create an assignment, tell RDS not to use that assignment for a grade if you don't want it to be used for a grade, versus using this here, because you might, sometimes these two right here sometimes cause the most headaches in trying to figure out why problems are happening. So if something is kind of going on, you might check your course setup to see if one of these two options may differ from what you see here. Okay, so right now we are done with the grade period total. We next need to move to the semester total screen. And as you see here in the semester total, right now we do not have a grading scale applied. So we need to choose our standard grade scale from our drop-down list. Now you'll notice that this section is very familiar. It is the same as what's going on here, or it's similar to what's in the grading period total. There is a difference though. When we look at it here, there's grading period 1, 2, and final exam. This menu right here is only used for high school. So all elementaries, middle schools use total points for semester total. So do not select this option here and try to manipulate this, because you'll get problems with that. And the last thing in our menu that we have is drop scores. Now the drop scores menu also can sometimes cause teachers some issues, because from this screen you can tell RDS to automatically drop the lowest assignments from the categories you have in your listing. So I could tell RDS that I want it to drop 2 homework assignments. Well, if I don't have any homework assignments in my gradebook, and I start entering homework assignments in my gradebook, and they will not calculate percentages. So it's sometimes best to leave that being 0 at the beginning of a grading period, and at the end of a grading period, if you want RDS to figure this, type that number in for that category, then come down and do a save or a save done. I would not do it for these two save options down here. Okay, and the reason why is because it applies the savings all across the board to all the grading periods and to all the semesters. So if you only want it to be turned on for one particular grading period, go into the course setup, type in the number in the menu there, and then click Save Done to have it be applied just for that grading period. Okay, so we are done talking about all 3 sections here on the course setup. Now, as you can think about right now, you have in our list right now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 classes in our list. That will be an awful lot of times that we'll have to go through and set up the course setup. If we were to go through each grading period, each semester, and each class. So, the RDS does have a quick and easy feature here to make it happen in just one touch of a button, and that is down here at the bottom. You see at the very, very bottom it says Save for all grading periods, semesters, and all courses. This will apply all the settings, as I said, to all the grading periods and semesters. So without even having to go into those other classes, we can do it here from this very first class you're working at. So let's go ahead and click that. It's going to pop up a little window. It says, "Are you sure?" Yes. And so right now it is working to apply those settings across the board. So once that's done, we are finished. We can click Save Done, and we should notice when this wheel is done spinning that we don't get that pop-up. So just to be sure, I'm going to jump out of my gradebook into attendance. I'm going to click back into gradebook, Every time I get in Gradebook, that pop-up comes up, and what do you know? It's gone. Try another class. It's gone. So, looks like we're finished with course setup. Now, except for one thing. We need to set up a different grading scale for our skills entry. So part 2 to this is we need to go to our skills entry class, and this is just a real quick change. So once I'm in my skills entry class and I've confirmed that I'm there, click View Edit, Course Setup. You'll notice that the grading scale for the grading period and semester both say the standard grading scale, or whatever grading scale you had there. We need to change this to the skills entry grading scale that we talked about earlier. So I'm going to change that in my grading period total and for the semester. And then when I'm done with that, I need to choose this save option, not the very bottom one, but the one right above it, because it applies it to all grading periods and semesters, but it's just for this course section only. So that's what we want. So let's go ahead and click that. It says yes. Are you sure? Oh yes, definitely. And it's going to work for just a few seconds here. Click Save Done. Voila, we are finished. So, this concludes this tutorial on configuring the course setup for elementary teachers with skills entry. Join me in the next video series where we're going to talk about creating assignments.